Be ready, guys. 5 seconds. Start. Sir, we are all aware of the need for fulfilling our commitments as far as the 11th 5-year plan is concerned. I am sure everyone is also willing to sacrifice for the cause of the country, a cause which must override all individual, communal, provincial, or even petty political considerations. Money has to be found and found primarily within our own borders, for in the long run, a nation has to stand on its own strength. The finance minister has therefore rightly said that everyone, rich and poor, has to shoulder the great burden if we are to achieve our aims and objectives. But while everyone is and must be willing to put his shoulder to the wheel, he can only do as much as is commensurate with his strength. Has that strength been appraised aright, and what will be the consequences if the burden is more than any sector can bear? The cost of living has gone up considerably. We are told that prices have gone up because the purchasing power of the people has increased. Has the purchasing power of the people increased pari passu with the rise in prices? I doubt it very much. I am not an economist, but I did learn that deficit financing will always cause inflation, and if that is so, the more we go in for deficit financing, the higher will soar the prices of commodities. Women are said to be poor financiers. As a woman, I admit that with the large majority of my sex, I know nothing in regard to the theory of high finance. But as a woman, I also have to meet household expenditure, and I am not at all sure that women do not know how best to make two ends meet, but I fear that the present proposals are going to make it very, very hard, and in fact may make life impossible for those who are poor, and the large majority in this country are poor. I am glad to read in the papers that kerosene oil has been left out by the finance minister, but he is taxing heavily such other things as the poor man needs, like clothes, sugar, tea, food grains, etc. They are not commodities whose prices can be sent up without touching the poor man's purse. Talking of tea, I wonder if something could be done to stop its adulteration. Now, food cannot continue to be doled out to the poor forever with promises of subsidy, whether by rupees 200 crores, which the Honorable Finance Minister is going to put aside for supplementing the food needs of the nation, or by fair price shops. Production in every sphere is the only answer, but an undernourished person can never produce. Why has the lowest income rate for taxation been lowered to that extent of making life still harder for the poor man? I think everybody who has anything to do with expenditure today realizes that rupees 1000 per month for a family is nothing at all. Take a man who has got to feed himself, his wife and 3 or 4 children, and perhaps his father and mother who are dependent on him. How can he possibly pay taxation on this small income? The price of the postcard has been raised. Why? The rise in railway fares too is going to hit him. The poor, sir, should be made less poor. That should be the objective of every government, but I fear greatly that the present budget proposals are going almost the other way in many directions, on the assumption of the fulfillment of a plan which might itself indeed break on the rock of finance. Sir, I have said I do not believe to destructive criticism, or at any rate I said I would offer some constructive criticism. Now there is no one who sympathizes with the finance minister in his efforts to raise money, but will be willing to listen to other ways and means which will not hit the poor man quite so hard. Instead of raising the postcard rate, why cannot the price of the stamped envelope be raised from 1 rupee to 2 rupees? I would not mind even if the cost of the reply postcard was raised to 1 rupee, but I object strongly to the cost of the single postcard, whether local or internal, being increased. I do not know what the yield from such a measure, that is raising the cost of the envelope from 1 rupee to 2 rupees, will be, but I imagine it will not be less than the tax on the postcard. I believe I am right in saying that our civil aviation rates are less. Sir, I am mostly in agreement with almost all the principles that the Honorable Prime Minister has enunciated this morning, and yet I beg to submit that from the point of view of logic, I do arrive at the same conclusion as the Prime Minister has done. I may say at the outset that the continued association of my country with the Commonwealth is not justified. The Honorable Prime Minister said that it is very easy to destroy a thing, but it is very difficult to build. I agree that the work of an artist who creates something is difficult and it takes a long time to build a thing, but it is much easier to destroy it. This world of ours is not being created now. It is not something new which is being just brought out. It is an existence with all its faults and good points, and like an artist who is not creating a new thing but who is taking the buildings as they exist and then harmonizing them by trying to join them together, and in that task it sometimes becomes necessary to alter certain things here and there and sometimes even to destroy a small portion. Similarly, in the small world of ours, when in the interest of a greater harmony to build a world with possibly a world government with freedom for all and with chances of development to every nation to the fullest extent, it is possible that some of the old associations may have to be severed. The British Commonwealth started as a British Empire. It had a purpose in this world. Whether it was a colonial purpose or some other purpose, it came into existence with a certain set purpose. And then as the world went on changing, the British Empire also went on changing. Then it was the British Commonwealth, and lastly that word British was dropped.